All right, greetings everybody. Welcome to the beginning of the month of March, and more madness is in effect. I have some good news for people. For anybody who was like really hoping that more was going to be absolutely insanely good, well, we have good news. More is actually looking like she will be an incredibly powerful and great tank. As a matter of fact, this might be that one missing piece that we've been missing from Spears to truly excel. Sorry, Volk, but it's just kind of true. Now, I've already looked at some data, and when I say data, I basically say Peachin's video, because Peachin, the absolute madman last night, he must be feeling great in Wotv, because he put out his video where he already did Moore's 140 test against a bunch of different teams. And here is what we have found. It's cracked. It's insanely good, but it's also insanely expensive for basically saying like, hey, guess what? There's a ton of holo VCs going all the way back to potentially FF13 and not only FF13, but gonna come to me Full Metal Alchemist. And that is kind of going to be a staking point for people. So how good this is going to be in the mid-range, I'm not entirely sure. But the things to note is that Kuja, remember how we were talking last week about Kuja? Maybe you want to hold off on getting too excited. Kuja is an insanely powerful team with Sadali, and that I'm going to still stand behind. But Moore plus Gilgamesh plus Ramada 3-0s that team. So yeah, we are looking at a powerful character here. And it's not just her against that team. A bunch of teams, including Mono Ice, Mono Fire, and Great Swords, basically have a really hard time against a spear-based team like that. So why? What is exactly going on? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So preview-wise, Moore is looking really, really good. She is a physical-based spear 100 cost wind elemental defensive tank for all intents and purposes, and she does echo a lot of what we've seen from Hero King Mont, just in more of an anti-magic version. Now here you can see the stats in a pure-based wind party, and if we go down to our testing party, well, you can see that her stats hold up pretty well. Good speed, good HP, good attack, good defense, which is kind of surprising because I wasn't expecting that, but there it is. Also great spirit, good spirit for her other abilities, nice speed for movement, which is really quite nice. And just good single target resistance. I mean, you can definitely push harder than what we are seeing here. And if you look at resistances, I mean, the resistances were really good for what you are going to be fighting against, because let's face it, we're never getting any more fist support as long as this game is active. But resistances as well, stun resistance, which is something that has kind of cropped up as maybe something you would need if VB did become meta, but he kind of didn't, sorry. And a little bit of poison resistance for this build, but curse resistance, which I think is incredibly important, because when I was watching the video earlier, I saw Sephiroth basically wind up for his limit burst, hit this character, and just nope, not shutting her down, not with curse, not very unlikely. That's it. Just a lot here is going well for Moore. So taking a bit of a deep dive into exactly what we have for this character. Now, Trust Mastery. We are looking at reduced physical damage taken the larger the AoE size, and increases magic distance-based resistance. I have a hard time evaluating this because honestly, the Trust Mastery, it's an accessory with speed on it, so that's always going to be nice. But this ability here, I don't know. I don't know if I really am super enamored with it, because AP generation is always going to be king. You're not really getting... Well, you're just not getting that as much here. But, I mean, for a tank, seems kind of nice if you were looking for some more defensive options. As for a spear, well, it is a wind-based spear, which is also nice. This is one of the things I was kind of hoping for, because Essentially, I want more of these new elemental weapons that are just good across multiple elements. And taking a look here, increase resistance penetration rate for AoE attacks by 20, and when HP is above 50%, physical damage is reduced by 10%. You know, so there's some Wind Spear characters that would benefit from this kind of thing. So this acts as a nice little upgrade for some older characters too. I think that's great. I think that's really nice to see. Now, sliding back in, Master Ability, AoE resistance and healing power up. Dream Ability, reduce physical damage taken, AB consumption down, and critical evasion. Now, physical damage taken down by 15% is way better than I thought, and that's undispellable. It's just permanently in her kit, as well as AP consumption down. Just seems really, really nice. Actually, maybe Hero King Mont's a little bit jealous because I did see a Hero King Mont lose to this team. So, or best tank in the game? All right, jumping into build. I mean, this one's going to be hard to say no to. One of them is essentially move up and debuff effect weakening. It's only 20, but it does protect her. I guess you could switch off for a bunch of different things that she has with this one. For instance, Winter Preen with her attack up and accuracy up and defense penetration up is a good option, because the one team that is particularly way better against Moore is Evasion. Evasion seems to be better. Maybe with a more specialized accuracy build, you can probably get there against Evasion. But just as a general one and done built team, yeah, accuracy does seem a little bit maybe problematic. You can also increase attack and decrease AP consumption, magic resistance up and reducing magic damage taken, and HP up and elemental resistance. So it's a wide variety of flexibility for a bunch of different situations for whatever the meta may bring. This one, however, pretty hard to say that you're ever going to replace this on this character. Chance of being targeted up, hate generation, yeah, we always say yes to that. Single target resistance, physical and magical distance-based resistance, and an HP recovery medium when she drops below a certain percentage. Essentially everything that we would want for a tank built into a nice little spell. Here, her counter ability stands to counter slash damage from at 100%. Not even joking. It's actually just if you attack her with a slash attack and you don't have, the reaction block, it will trigger and it reduces damage taken by 30%. That's a big chunk of the meta that she can effectively survive against. And it is a 30% damage reduction, which is not nothing. She also has Preens, Winter Preens, again, counter ability, which is a chance to counter magical damage at 70% with reducing magical damage taken. You can build this character to be anti-physical or anti-magical with the counter ability, with her general kit, quite nicely. And that makes, again, maybe me saying that Moore is just the actual better tank than Hero King Mont. Yeah, what you gonna do? All right. Limit Burst. Let's jump into Limit Burst really quickly because I've seen this actually in action quite a few number of times, and yeah, Doom has an incredibly high chance of activating. 40% chance on this ability, but it was basically hitting really, really consistently in the matches that I was looking at. Decrease AoE resistance by a factor of 60 for 3 turns, 240 mod, AoE. Also reduces magical damage taken by 50% for 2 turns for herself. Really, really nice. Also, Moore does, well, I mean, I really want to talk about this, but we're going, okay, I'll wait. So, subpart of her kit, she has a decreased agility, sleep, and inflict stop ability that she can cast AoE. Doesn't do damage, but it is nice to potentially have some status effects that can turn the tide a little bit. Then, her other ability is resistances. Slash resistance, missile resistance, and magic resistance by 25% for allies within a big range. Pretty juicy, quite like this sub job for just doing support and status effects, which status effects are a good thing to lean on right now for potentially winning a match. Martial Arts Master is a different damage type, so I'm not super excited about it. It does have an increased attack by 60% buff and spirit plus 30 with single target resistance of 25 and protect. So Martial Arts Master, once again, I think it's kind of a coin flip whether you want the resistances from this on multiple characters or just more on more. Try saying that a bunch of times, but with the correct intonations. No, it's the name. Then we have Axe Knight, which does have a heal and dispel status effects. That's kind of handy, given that status effects of multiple kinds are floating around. And I mean, poison, frostbite, blind, silence, paralyzed, immobilize. You can essentially get rid of all of those with Axe Knight. You can also increase defense, strike resistance, and elemental chain resistance. So yeah, there's a bunch of different options for more. And while usually I would love to say, yeah, this is the correct one that you should pick, I actually don't have much of an opinion here about any of these because they're all good. I can see value in all of them. They're all good in the right situation, in the right matchup. That does mean that more probably you want to adjust depending on the matchup and the meta. But I think she has really good flexibility to last into the future, which is also kind of a bit funny because I haven't shown off her limit burst animation yet. All right, now getting into her main kit. Piercing damage, which is always really strong. With a 121 mod here that absorbs HP. Pretty nice little basic attack at the end of the match to keep you going. Next ability is a buff for herself. However, so defense plus 30, single target resistance 25, distance based for physical and magical resistances. But this is the thing I was kind of excited to talk about. When a unit is in range, reduce physical damage taken 40% for allies. Burst resistance of 50%, immobilize resistance of 50, and stun resistance of 50. Those are all for allies, but not self. So earlier when I saw Sephiroth basically trigger his limit burst and not get any curse status effects across a team of 3 in an AoE hit that hit all 3 team members, kind of confused. I'm not confused anymore. That's insanely good. One of the things that we've been looking at for a really long time in this game is when is a unit going to do the same thing that Summer Resnick is doing? Here it is. It's here. It's on a permanent unit. Woof. Not woof. It's so much, but great. I mean, awesome. Fantastic. That's just really good. Now, this next ability is just kind of a bit of a mouthful. So reduces physical damage taken 50% 4 times for self. Increased chance of being targeted by 12. One of the bigger hate generations I've seen in a long while. Also has a 200% chance to ignore a fatal damage hit. Restore 20 AP for herself. Grants dispelling haste for 4 turns. As well as sealing removal of all buffs for 3 turns. Also can seal removing haste, seal removing physical damage up, and seal removing magical damage up for multiple turns off of all of Moore's attacks. Sorry, really big tongue twister. And all of this sums up to being a really powerful ability, but it's interesting because we do have a couple of other things that are not on Wotv Calc. So, has also the spike effect that is on Hero King Mont on this character as well. The spike effect where basically reflects some of the damage back, and this was a mistake I think I made in my previous video. In her kit, she actually does have a physical damage spike as well as a magical damage spike in her kit. So that's really interesting that they gave her both. Spike is not that powerful. It essentially reflects some of the damage back, and from what we've seen, it's not moving the needle that terribly much, and I don't expect it to move the needle that terribly much here. However, it is a nice ID to have, and I would say that I'd be disappointed if future tanks didn't have it as well, because it is something extra. All right, so I promise we're almost done, and that's good because Umber's running out of breath. Next ability, this one is a straightforward one. Dispel, protect for targets, dispel auto-revive for targets. Auto-revive floats around a lot. Short range, but this is a tank, so the unit is going to be pushed forward to attack her, and it is piercing damage. Pretty good. You can get some extra damage in there, right? Next ability, select 2 targets, decrease. Now I know what you're thinking, wait a minute, this is a short range. I thought that she was supposed to be an AoE attacker. Well, hold on, dear friend. Select 2 targets, decrease single target resistance by 60 for a single cast, 200% mod, decrease attack and magic by 40% for targets that are hit, and increase single target resistance penetration for 30 for 3 turns for the target, which is kind of fun because she is not necessarily a single target attacker, but she can enable other single target attackers, as well as with her limit burst, decreasing AoE resistance. More is essentially good across both. And then finally, decrease defense by, oh, sorry, I need to actually scroll. This AoE one, decrease defense by 30 for 3 turns for the target, decrease pierce resistance by 30% for 3 turns for the target, 200% mod with a 100% hit chance and a 35% chance of inflicting confusion for 3 turns. So that's a mouthful. That's a lot in Moore's kit that is insanely good. And I can see the hype that Moore will absolutely generate, because what we are looking at here for Moore is a really powerful permanent addition to the pool character who can do some of the things that limited characters could do before, but now a little bit more. Also, if you think, you know, I mean, just looking at her right now, yes, I think that she is a huge enabler for spear-based teams. I think that she probably is generally good enough to be in a wide variety of teams. I think Mono Wind would actually be quite happy with her. I think Fire would be quite happy with her. I think there's just a lot of elements that would get a huge boost from her. I mean, this is kind of going to be the character that a lot of accounts will eventually get, and is going to decrease the value of Curse by a considerable amount, or at least its impact on any meta. Probably bringing Curse into line where it should have been months ago. But yes, Moore gets my basically big stamp of approval for being an absolutely top tier unit. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see her in a tier 1 team and multiple tier 1 teams over the coming months. Absolutely fantastic unit, and there's the flexibility I was talking about, not only in her kit, but in that limit burst animation as well. So here is my absolute stamp of approval. Umbra's doing a poll at the end of his video. And not getting anything. That's the other important part to say, right? I mean, it's predictable at this rate. Oh, wow. Just the double dagger in my friggin' heart. Why you gotta do this to me, game? Ah! Okay, Umber's not sticking around for this one. Oh, you know, I did a, just at the end of this video, I did a 1,000 poll last night, and I got a URVC too. It can't happen 3 times, right? No, it definitely can't happen 3 times. No, don't do it. All right, later.